Welcome back to the Brent Bruce Daily, where each day we take a look and see where home loan interest rates really are, what is making the move, and what to expect for the future. Today is a day that we really have to talk about our plans for the big report coming out tomorrow because it really seems to be building up to be a very big report. Today is March the 30th, 2023. It's now 1:33 p.m. Central Time, a little bit earlier in the day than I usually put my report out, but I wanted to make sure to get this to you and talk a little bit about our game plan for what we want from the personal consumption expenditures report coming out tomorrow on the 31st. So first of all, let's jump in here. I wanted to point out a quick article here. We always talk about that Diana Olick always puts out information that is just so negative to the market. More home sellers are sitting out of the spring housing market. Well, yeah, they might be, but they're not going to be when all of a sudden interest rates drop into the 5%, which is going to happen probably very soon. And for the past 10 to 15 years, she's been saying bubble, 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 bubble. So when real estate does well, it's a bubble. When it does poorly, she celebrates. So don't ever pay too much attention to what you see, especially on the CNBC real estate section when Diana Olick is the author, because she just loves to have a negative spin on anything real estate related. So let's take a look over here at where we are on the charts right now. We're at zero. We are sitting at zero on the mortgage-backed security, down 2 on the 10-year treasury, sitting right on the Fibonacci level here. You can see how much the market is just sitting still, just waiting for a report to come out to push one way to start battling the 200-day moving average, or breaking down and starting to fall through these floors of support, which is not what we want to see. We have been talking about 6.5% and 6.375% on our Brent Bruce daily interest rate. It seems like for weeks, right? I mean, it's like we bounced a little bit down to like a 5.875 for a couple of days, 5.99, then we're back to the 6.5. It seems like we seem to hang around the 6.5 number. So let's take a look and see where we are right now. And then we're going to talk about our game plan for tomorrow and what we expect and want to happen for tomorrow. So let's take a look here. We're going to go over to our Brent Bruce daily scenario, where each day we run our 30-year fixed conventional, very well qualified home loan, 800 FICO score, 25% down. And here we are, 6.5% with a little bit larger of a credit. So you see we have gained a little bit on the credit side. If we open this up here, we'd like to see what is it taking to get to 5.999. Well, they only offer a 6.0 here at Flagstar. They want 1.2 points to get to that 6% range. If we go down to United Wholesale, which we like to look at really each day because they do a good job with their buy downs, you can see that 5.999 is costing exactly 1 point. So this is where we are right now, where we have been for the last few days, bouncing 6.5, 6.625. So what is it that we want to see? I'm going to open this up for just a moment to show our parameters for compliance purposes. Okay, so right now, the personal consumption expenditures reading, I'm pulling up this re- last report from the Bureau of Economic Analysis that went through January. So the report we're going to get in March 31st, is the reporting of the inflation from the month of February. So this is February's report that is giving you the numbers for January of 2023. Now here we go. We like to look at the core PCE reading, which is excluding food and energy. So this is the line item that we are paying attention to. So for January, it was 0.6. 0.6 is a rather high month over month reading. Look at it this way. If every month in a year was 0.6, you would have a 7.2 annual inflation reading, which would be huge. So 0. 0.6 is not what we want to see. Now let's look at a couple of the other months recently, 0.4, 0.2, 0.3, 0.5. Now, if we could stay at this 0.2 number long term, now you're looking at an inflation reading much closer to what the Federal Reserve wants to see. Because again, their target number for the core inflation reading based on the personal consumption expenditure is 2.0% year over year. Right now, we're at about 4.7. So more than double of where they want inflation to be. So let's take a look here at our little interactive chart here that we've been using for months and months. You guys who have been watching this for a while, know that I refer to this little chart that I created here. And what we've done is we've input each of the months over the last 12 months to give us our total annual here. So you see, this is where we had put in the 0.6 for January that left us at 4.7 on a year over year core personal consumption expenditures reading. So tomorrow, what do we want to happen? Well, first of all, we need to come in lower than the previous month because that shows a decline in month over month inflation. Well, because it was a point 0.6, that's going to be fairly easy to do. That's a pretty high reading. So we could pretty easily come in with a point 0.4, a point 0.3, and be in great shape when we're talking about month over month readings. Okay, so if we come and have a point 0.4 for February, so we know that we're going to be replacing February of 2022. This is the number that we're replacing. Right now, I have the number in from last year so that we can see what our annual reading is with last year's number. So again, what this means is this bright yellow box, if we come and show that the month over month reading for February of 2023 is 0.2, that would mean that our annual reading would drop to 4.5. That is a huge drop month over month. And everyone is going to be very, very excited about that, especially the home loan interest rate world. If it comes in at 0.3, I mean, this is good because it's a big drop from January, cutting it in half, but it still only goes from 4.7 to 4.6 annually. So that's not really as big of a drop as we'd like to see. However, what if we end up getting a 0.5? Well, we're still having a drop month over month, but now the annual inflation reading based on core PCE goes up. So that's something that I think we're going to have a hard time with. We don't want to see the annual reading go up because that takes the long-term projections and starts to bend it back up instead of allowing it to continue to roll off. So there's a lot for us to pay attention to when it comes to the report coming out tomorrow. Always pay attention to the core reading. Okay, so you're going to get what's called a headline reading. The headline is like all inclusive of everything that makes up the personal consumption expenditures. The core reading is excluding food and energy. Now, again, we could debate why they would ever do something like that. That is the number that we are paying attention to. So we want the core personal consumption expenditures reading. If we could have it the way we want it, it'd be at 0.2. Most likely we're looking at maybe a 0.4 or a 0.3. So if it comes in at 0.4, I think that we're going to get a positive reaction because it's lower than the January reading, but not that much of a positive reaction because it's actually going to leave our year over year reading the same. That's why we really want to see a 0.3 that'll allow us our year over year reading to go down, and it will be half of January. That sounds a lot better, doesn't it? And if we get 0.2, that's a huge win based on the PCE reading. Now, we have to pay attention to the fact that there's the housing component, and the housing component is going to be a little bit trailing. It's going to take a while for the housing component to catch up to the other items that make up the basket of goods that are included in the personal consumption expenditures number. We do believe that that is going to continue to help the PCE month over month, but we just don't know if it's going to be that beneficial here for the reading in February. So the reading that we're going to have tomorrow in March is for the month of February. So make sure you pay attention when this report comes out tomorrow. I believe that it's at 8:30 Eastern time. The PCE comes out. Cross our fingers that we get a 0.3 or a 0.2, a 0.4 we can live with. We're not going to want to see a 0.5. So that's what's going on for tomorrow. I'll make sure to update you probably early. I'll go ahead and tell you what that is coming in at and how the market is reacting. We are completely flat right now, waiting for that report. Have a good day.